welcome to the Fenland Chat Hour. I'm producer Dave, and this is Amanda.
Hello.
Hello, Amanda. How are you today?
I'm not too bad, thank you, producer Dave. I had a good sleep last night, and that was very pleasant.
Oh, that's better than me then, because I think I'm still on Zulu time. I think I haven't crossed over to British summertime yet. I'm still struggling to get to sleep, so it's a bit of a struggle in the mornings.
Yes, yeah. I was surprised this morning. It was dark when I went to bed, and it was light when I woke up. That's a good thing.
It is, yes.
Yes.
I think that's some people are benefiting from the opportunity to get a few weeks rest.
Yes,
just letting the sort of, yes, they're working from home, but at least they're getting the opportunity to sort of, well, potentially waking up naturally, and not having to worry about getting up an hour earlier to drive to, the hour it takes you to drive into Cambridgeshire or to Peterborough or something. So at least, those elements of the travel can then be put into getting some extra rest. And so hopefully we're going to have several million people feeling fit and energetic when we finish all this.
Yes, and refreshed.
Well, I think we'll need it because we'll have to be running in double time when we're back at work.
Yeah.
So what are we? We'll just give a quick summary. We are two people who are based in Fenland, and we've decided to volunteer our time to produce this podcast, which goes out 3 times a week, Mondays, Wednesdays and Fridays. We kind of hit the mark so far. This is episode 3, and we just want to give a Fenland perspective. I think we are overlooked massively by London and Government Central. They have a lot to deal with at the moment, but we are just taking the Fenland look on what's going on. So that's the idea. Do you think we're doing all right so far? Do you think we're getting the points?
Yes, I think we are. We've had positive feedback, so that's good. It's encouraging. We
are. I mean, that's we expected 5 people to an audience of 5 from the outset. I think we've doubled that now.
Yes, I think yeah.
So that's not bad. People are watching and people are listening, and they are commenting and giving us feedback. Let us know what's going on. Give us your feedback, and we'll keep going as long as people want to listen.
Yes.
So that's who we are. That's what we're doing. So what we do is we try and break it down. We do look at Fenland news, what's going on from the government and news side of things in the Fenland area. And then we look at, sometimes we'll do a guest slot where we have an interview with someone who has advice and support that they can offer to people who are in isolation. On Monday we had Richard Savage, who is a local artist. He is giving ideas on how to start painting and doing artwork. If you've not considered that, if that's something that you would like to do during this period of isolation. So if you want to do that, go back to Monday's episode and have a listen there. And we just look at what's going on in Fenland and how it's affecting us. So we're going to start off with the first bit, which is a little bit of news. The big story of the day is the start of delivery of care packages. All the people that have registered as isolated and vulnerable, who are self-isolating and can't get out for medical concerns because of severe illnesses, underlying illnesses that do make them more vulnerable than other people, who registered with the government, and they have now started receiving care packages from the government run by the Red Cross. Ours are coming from Peterborough, and if you want more information about what's going on, how it's being handled, go to Cams Times, because they've got a fantastic article on there about it, with interviews and information there. And it also gives you a telephone number as well to get in, how to get in touch if you are vulnerable and you can't leave home, if you are house locked, as opposed to just self-isolating. If you physically can't leave the house because of your health, then that's something that you need to get in touch with, and they will help. They will provide with a care package once a week now for the next 12 weeks, I believe, just with some basic essentials, so that you don't have to worry about going to the supermarket or having to rely on other people to provide some food, which is brilliant. And it's certainly one of the things that we are seeing being implemented from the government right now. People complaining, saying that they're very slow in an uptake and a lot of things, but this is happening right now and people are getting them. So that's just brilliant news. Other thing is something that hit the news a couple of days ago nationally, and that was talking about two teenagers who died. One was 15, one was 19, I believe. Both had no underlying medical effects, and so this is it's not a concern, but it's just trying to raise awareness to everybody that no one is safe from the coronavirus. You can't, just because you think you're a teenager, you can't just think automatically that you're going to be fine, because it can get all ages. I believe you have something to add to that, Amanda.
Well, yes, I do. Thank you, David. The teenagers were 13 and 19, David. Very, very young, one of them. And you're quite right, no underlying health issues. But teenagers have been seen locally out and about, gathering and smoking and passing cigarettes to each other. That's very dangerous in this environment. So please remember, go outside for essential shopping, doing your exercise, wash your hands at least every 2 hours with soap for 20 seconds, and stay at least 2 meters away from each other when you're out. But do not pass cigarettes to each other and smoke them. That's not a good idea at all.
Yes, I can imagine that there are lots of things that people do, social habits. I mean, we've seen that with Prince Charles when he was shaking hands. Something that you do on a regular basis, lots of times every day, it's imprinted. It's a muscle memory. You do it without thinking. And I guess something like passing cigarettes around to your mates, it doesn't register because it's something that you do all the time. It's just something that you do have to have a rethink about how you behave and interact with other people, and evaluate everything that you do, because so much of it is routine and habit, and it's trying to break those habits that's gonna save us all.
Yes.
I mean, that now leads us on to sort of our daily grim news, which we do try and we do mention the latest statistics of what's going on, because we've got to put this into context. And the number of cases as of yesterday was 25,150 tested cases in the UK, and sadly 1,789 deaths. And that's pretty much what we said a few days ago when we were talking about projected figures. And so that's for yesterday. So we're looking at probably at least 2,000 people by the end of today, which is really sad. And our hearts go out to all the families who are suffering. And we know that there are families in Huntingdon and surrounding areas, and Peterborough and Kings Lynn, and those are the hospitals that are dealing with these losses. So we know that the families are in the area who are losing family and friends, and it's a sad time. It's hard. And I've just heard that Paul Sinner, the comedian and star on The Chase, is really critically ill at the moment, because he's got Parkinson's as well. So he's quite poorly anyway. He struggles with obviously underlying illness as well. It's been made aware that he is critically ill at the moment, so our thoughts and prayers go out to him as well, and everybody else who is suffering this horrific illness, for those who are suffering really badly as well. Okay, that's the heavy stuff done, right? So we do try and make things a little bit lighter now. So so the main thing is, what would Doris do? That's something that it's a feature that we have each episode, and the people who are familiar with Wimbledon will be aware of this character, this lovely lady who gives a lot of information, advice from her years of experience, with a segment called "What Would Doris Do?" What would she do?
What would Doris do? Well, first of all, Doris wants to say thank you to everybody who put thank you notes on their bins for the Fenland binmen. They came out through the Fenland villages today, and they have posted on the Fenland District Council website and Facebook page, Twitter pages, all the thank you notes that they got. They've put them in their cab. Looks really great.
Oh, that's brilliant.
So, yeah. And people who weren't able to do thank you notes themselves actually went outside and thanked the bin men. So that was nice. Doris is very, very happy about that. Now, what she's saying for children and young people, she's saying instead of congregating together children and young people, can you please connect online? Because you're all online whizzes, not like the rest of us. You all know how to connect online through FaceTime, Google Hangout, Zoom, and all the others that are available. And then please could you write letters or drawings, do some drawings for your older neighbours, and show the drawings to each other using your FaceTime, and then pop them through the letterboxes of your older neighbours. They should be people that you know.
Yeah.
But that would make their day. Having a drawing from a child or a young person would be like receiving a bouquet of flowers, and it would help people feel connected, especially older people who aren't connected online. So that's what Doris is asking younger people and children to do today, please.
That's a brilliant idea, and there's always been a good connection between children and grandparent generations, that sort of missing that gap, and they've found that when you actually put them together, there is a different kind of connection. So there is a bond that does form between them. So anything like this that gets them talking to each other, and it helps the children understand what's going on, and it gives the older people a connection and a feeling that they're not being isolated and ignored and forgotten about.
Yeah, absolutely. Bless them.
But anything that gets people talking and messaging each other is good. So
thank you, Doris.
Thank you, Doris. So if you look on Twitter, if you want to leave a message, look for the hashtag What Would Doris Do? Message on Facebook, wherever you see the video, leave a message with that hashtag, and we'll add it to the show and pass on the information to Doris if you have any questions or any thoughts. So just looking at sort of the more weird and offbeat stories, but something that's actually quite serious that's happened. It came up yesterday, and it was the Great Easter Egg Debate. Something that came up, that reports that police and securities and shops were being very heavy-handed regarding people buying Easter eggs, and they were being told that it's not an essential item, therefore you shouldn't be allowed to have it. And I think I can understand that it's classed as a novelty feature, but it does have an important part in our culture. And you try and tell a 6-year-old why they can't have an Easter egg, so it at this time with the crisis and so much upheaval and upset and disruption to family life, there needs to be a little bit of continuity, a little bit of normality that's going on. And I think an Easter egg would help just keep things, and to be honest, a lot of kids have probably been looking forward to it since Christmas, because they know that's the next thing. So you got Christmas, and then you get Easter eggs, and then they have the birthday, or whenever the calendar sits. So they've got something to look forward to. But so if you then suddenly say you can't have Easter eggs, that's going to be quite emotional for children, and they don't understand why. They're having all this upheaval. What's your thoughts?
I think it's terrible that people are saying it's not an essential, and I quite agree with you. My grandson, try telling him it's not an essential. No, it's... No, you're quite right, David. It's part of our culture, and this is getting a bit too much. I mean, the stores are full of Easter eggs, aren't they?
Yeah.
You go to the supermarkets, they've got to offload them. They need to be sold.
Exactly.
So,
there's no point creating food waste.
No, absolutely. No, I'm with you. They are essential.
I mean, I can understand if someone was to walk into a shop and buy 20 Easter eggs in his shopping trolley and nothing else, then obviously there are limits on how much you should have, because obviously we're still in the culture of we want to share everything, make sure that there are limits to what people are buying. But if you're just buying your weekly shop and you've got a couple of Easter eggs in there, then I don't see the problem with that.
No, neither do I.
I mean, even if you go back to rationing during the Second World War, part of the rationing was a block of chocolate. You know, so even then it was recognised that it is an important part of morale. It's part of, and apparently I've heard it's quite popular with certain genders.
Yes, it is. Yes, we like it.
Some people like it more than others. You know, so
yeah.
Yeah, send us your thoughts. Do you that is the main topic of today's podcast. Should we be denied chocolate, or do you think we should carry on? Should be part of keep everything normal and be part of our normal weekly shopping as we move towards Easter? Let us know.
I think it could be the quickest route to civil unrest.
It could be
denying chocolate.
Full-blown the Easter egg riots of 2020.
Yes.
Yes, if you send us your thoughts and opinions on Easter eggs and whether chocolate is an essential item, let us know, and we'll look at what you've got and feed back to you next week. I believe you have a correction to make regarding talking about Easter eggs. Good Friday.
I do. Holy Week even starts this Sunday with Palm Sunday, and next Friday is Good Friday, and the following Sunday is Easter Sunday. We've got Maundy Thursday in the middle, and I got overexcited and brought it a week forward in our last podcast, so I apologise to everybody. But I have got a question here.
Yep.
It's because we can't go to church and celebrate Easter, or Palm Sunday, or have Maundy Thursday meals. We can have hot cross buns on Friday.
Yeah.
Which would be great. Hopefully they're not considered.
Well, I was just going to say we could have the whole thing again with hot cross bun gate.
We could, couldn't we? I'm really looking forward to mine. So, how are people thinking about celebrating Easter if they do celebrate Easter? What are they going to do in their households? Are they going to do something different? It'd be interesting to hear what people's thoughts are.
Yes, how are listeners going to celebrate Easter this year? Let us know what your plans are for this Easter.
I can't wait to hear them, actually. I think that will be interesting.
Yes, I think that'll be a good one. Now, today is a very different day. Out of all the days in the year, today is April the 1st, and it is also known as April Fool's Day. Now, a lot of people have decided that it's probably not in good taste to celebrate April the 1st, April Fool's Day, because some of the things can get out of hand and maybe not considered appropriate, and you can understand that, but some have slipped through. Some people have been pulling the odd prank here. I mean, as long as it's done in taste, I think a little bit of humour is fine. I know that Google has decided not to do anything this year, and quite a few big organisations who normally run with a spoof story or stuff have decided not to. One that I did see that did make me laugh was some parents have said that children needed to attend their classes at home in school uniform today because in preparation for when they go back. Which is really cruel for the kids, but I actually find that quite funny.
That's brilliant.
But I believe that you might have something to say now that it's gone past 12 o'clock. You have something you might want to say about April Fool's Day?
Well, I thought, wouldn't it be funny? Well, no. It wouldn't be funny, but I did put it out there. Wouldn't it be great if Boris Johnson suddenly told us at midday today, it's all a joke, it's over. Yes,
that is something that it has been mentioned as well. I've seen that a few places, that we're all going to wake up and it's just been one big joke. I saw one that said we're going to move April Fool's Day to the 1st of October. But if you've had any April Fool's jokes played on you, and let us know. Let's share your stories, share your if there are anything as interesting as those. Now the next one is someone it's not from here, not from the Fenland area, but I think it's something that you should have a look at and support. With obviously a lot of the main sporting events being cancelled, like the London Marathon. One man has decided to run the marathon in his garden, and if you go onto Twitter, and you'll see him live now, his name is James Campbell, and you'll find on Twitter his hashtag 6 meter garden marathon. So, and he's doing that to raise money for charities. He decided that he couldn't run outside, so he's deciding to do it in his garden. So you can watch him really just running up and down the bottom of his garden, and he's got a live camera watching. So if you want to fill a few hours watching that, by all means. If you want to support and help him raise money, that would be brilliant as well. But it just gives you something different, and it is good that people are actually finding other ways to carry on. I believe there was one guy who was raising money for sports relief by climbing Everest, by climbing stairs in his house, and he was just going up and down, but he wasn't counting the downstairs, he was just counting the up. So he was going upstairs, down, up, down, and he climbed over, I think, 3 or 4 days the height of Everest. So that was quite an achievement. So people are finding other ways of doing these sporting events without actually having to leave their home, which is just amazing, and it just shows how much imagination people have. Now I'll hand over to you, because I believe you have a few bits and pieces you want to add.
Yes, thank you, David. Well, in March, we've got a food bank, a very well-run food bank, organised from the Centenary Baptist Church. This is a really important time to keep donating to food banks. Don't stop donating. The food banks need storing up, they need stocking up, and there's going to be more and more people relying on food banks moving forward, which is sad, but it's great that we can help and contribute. So you can give your offerings at the Centenary Baptist Church on Monday mornings from 10:30 to 11:30, or you can go straight to the collection bins at Barclays Bank, Iceland, Sainsbury's or Tesco's. And if you're in the supermarkets, this is interesting, David, if you're in the supermarkets, you don't have to have bought the food that you donate from those supermarkets. So that's good to know. You can just go in and put your offerings in the food bank collection boxes. Now, also, we've been told today on the news, I don't know if you heard this, that there's more than 800,000 companies in the UK that are just weeks away from going bust. That's really frightening, isn't it? So how can we help? I think we really, really, really need to support our local businesses, the ones that are remaining open because they're in the supply chain for the key workers, and all the other shops that have started selling online.
Yeah.
We should support them and don't have a go at them. There's been reports that where shops are selling online, they're getting some abuse.
Yeah.
These people are working and they're keeping the economy going, and we need to support them. We've all got to do our bit. We're all in this together. That's all I've got to say on that point.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'll just, on a couple of things, just talk about a couple of things. With food banks,
Yeah.
something that I hadn't been made aware, or hadn't even realised, was that a lot of the food banks are supported by the supermarkets. And
Yes.
so when, at the end of the day, when food is left and the expiry dates have reached, instead of throwing it away, they're then, if the stuff that's still viable, it will go to the food banks. Now the problem is, over the last 2 weeks, because the supermarkets have been absolutely cleared, all the shelves have been stripped bare, there's been nothing left over. So none of that food that would have been going to the food banks has got there. So that's why they're now desperately essential for people to donate food or money to local food banks to keep these food banks going, because at the moment they've not got any. Things are getting better. There are a lot more tighter controls over process of shopping, but certainly in some areas it's still an issue. So yes, definitely, if you can support your food bank in some way, because there are a lot of people who are going to need it. Certainly, maybe not now, but certainly over the next few weeks, things are going to get tougher and tougher for people. Talking about takeaways, supporting local businesses. That's something that we do as well. We're looking at supporting businesses that are now providing just takeaway services. There's a local chip shop that's doing Petrus in Chatteris are doing collection. You order it, you pay for it online, and then they will come and deliver it to your door. And it's a lot of companies, a lot of takeaways and food outlets are doing this now. So if you can, make a point of supporting them, because they're offering a service. They want to keep everything social distancing as a priority, so that you're not queuing at the store. But just remember that they are there and they are providing a service, so please use them. And I think we've got plans to order something this week, partly because we want to support them, and because it's also a bit of change as well. It's nice to have a takeaway sort of once a week, something special, or but support the businesses, find out who are still out there and who are working hard. There is a local garage I've heard where the guy's been harassed because people are saying he shouldn't be open, but he's actually working for supporting key workers and NHS staff, and he's fixing their cars. He's open specifically for key workers and staff for NHS. And he's getting a lot of abuse because he is open, and they're saying, "Oh, you shouldn't be open." But he's serviced half a dozen cars for people who need to, because they have to work, they have to get to the hospital. Life for them carries on. They need the support and infrastructure to keep going as well. So please remember that these people who are offering services for key workers, they need your support and respect, and just let them get on with their businesses.
Well, David, we run a mechanics as well, my husband and I, and so my husband's supporting key workers. But I have to say, this is a really stressful time to be running a business.
Yeah.
Because whilst you're being asked by the government to stay open and support key workers, which is great, and you're contributing to the economy, a lot of your suppliers aren't. And that's really frustrating. So to receive abuse on top of everything else is wrong and unfair.
It is, yeah. We've got to get through this all together if we can. And it's going to be tough. There will be a lot of businesses that will close because they just don't have the type of business that would work online. There's talk about garden centres that are suffering because you can't go to the centre to buy flowers, and wholesale providers for flowers in garden centres, so people aren't going to the garden centres, so then the wholesale distributors aren't able to then pass on the flowers to them as well. It's a tough time for everyone, and but we just have to be pleasant and nicer to each other and just try and make this less painful.
That's true. With the garden centres, and there's the whole horticultural show economy. You know, that's not going to be operating this year, and it's really going to impact them. And yes, I can see that people want to see plants when they're going to buy them to see if they're healthy or not. But they are selling online, a lot of them. And this is the time to get out in your garden, isn't it? And make the most of it, really. I hope they're going to be okay. It is a worrying time. Yeah.
That's it. At the moment, it's cold and it's miserable, but hopefully in the next week or so, the weather should improve and give access to gardens. If you've got a garden, it's obviously a bit too cold to be outside and for any length of time, but hopefully when the weather improves, people will be outside more.
Yes,
and in the garden, stay in the garden, stay isolated, use the garden. It's another room in your house. As long as you're sensible, enjoy the fresh air, get outside. Just a change of scenery, just a different change of venue is better, and will help with your mindfulness and well-being, and being out in the sun as well will help boost your not immune system, but your sort of general sort of level of well-being. Well, I think that's, unless you've got anything else, I think we're a bit short today, but I think that's everything we have.
I've got a couple of things.
Oh, okay.
So our local first responders, David, they put a post out because people are worried when the first responders are going out to call outs, and they're wearing face masks.
Yeah.
So please don't be worried. It is standard practice for responders to wear face masks. And we have got the Cambridgeshire Fire and Rescue Service, the Chief Fire Officer, Chris Strickland, the Chief Fire Officer, is asking people to be careful not to start fires. So he's saying you can do this by avoiding having bonfires in your garden or lighting candles. And if you have to light candles or set a bonfire, make sure they're extinguished properly and all the fire setting apparatus is put away carefully. But also, because there's a lot of people in the homes at the moment, people are getting distracted when they're cooking.
Yeah.
So he says, please use your timers on ovens and other devices, because if you are distracted, it will remind you that you've got something cooking. And also, one of the safest things you can have is a smoke alarm in your house on every level, and check that they're working properly.
Yeah.
Then finally, this is a Wimbledon matter here.
Yeah.
Trev Hanley from Wimbledon has been banned from Facebook for 3 days, he says. So, Trev would like to see lots of pictures of people's animals for when he is set free from Facebook jail.
That's been bad if he's been banned from Facebook for a few days.
Well, what we're hearing is that 3 days isn't really that bad. It's when you're banned for 28 days it's really bad.
Yes.
So this is 3 days. It could be.
Yes.
It could be. People are saying, is it an April Fool's joke? We don't know at the moment. We'll soon
It
find
could
out.
be. It could be. Its timing is a bit suspect.
Yes.
That was the one I was talking about. That was the one I thought was an April
Oh,
Fool.
where it was the characters.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yes. That's what it was, David.
But yes, do remember what you're posting, because obviously everyone is reading, and the last thing you want to do is upset everybody else and cause more stress and anxiety by upsetting people and alienating people and forcing people off the social media that people are so reliant on.
Yes, that's true.
Just bear in mind, think about what you're saying and why you're saying it. Do you need to actually say something that's going to be inflammatory, that's going to cause people to get angry, and it's not worth it. It's just not worth it at all. Just be nice and considerate to people. It's a tough time for everyone, and we don't want people getting unnecessarily upset and causing aggro just for the sake of it. Okay, well, I think that's it for me. Have you got anything else you want to add? Any last words?
No, except please wash your hands. Don't touch your face. I've been practicing not touching my face.
Like you say, it's that thing we were talking about before, that it's a force of habit.
It is, isn't it?
It's an involuntary action. It's so difficult to not do.
It is. And any tips for how to keep my hair looking nice? I want to hear.
Well, you might notice I had my haircut last night.
I did. It was good, David.
That was a bowl cut as well. Yes, it's a lot easier for me because it's just straightforward, clippers over the top, 5 seconds and job done.
I still think you're brave. I think you're really brave.
Right, we'll wrap that on that point. We'll wrap up for today. I think that's it. That's thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.
Thank you for being there. Thank you for listening, because if it's not for you listening, we wouldn't have a show. So thank you very much for everybody that's listening and taking part and contributing and suggesting things. Keep doing so. Keep, even if you've done it once, keep doing it. We like the continuity, and the video that goes with this is in various places on YouTube. It's on Facebook. It's on Twitter. So there's no excuse for not listening to it, and we can already tell there's a lot of stuff on TV that's changing, and it's becoming all politics or all news, and a lot of the sort of TV shows are having to be postponed or cancelled. So this will make up should be part of your daily TV listening or radio listening is an hour with us. So be safe, be careful, wash your hands, and join us again on Friday for the Fenland Chat Hour. Goodbye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.